Hey guys, Grassman here, playing more Island War, sort of. So, this guy made a, what's it called? A tier list video for all the troops in Island War. I watched it, and I noticed a few things I'd consider wrong, so I'm gonna input what I think the guy should be. And also, like, touch on what he says, and then we're gonna go play some more Island War. So here we go.
I ranked every
how's the sound? I'll keep it a little bit up, and I'll pause it when I'm talking, so it'll be fine.
Island War on a tier list and provided my thoughts about them, so let's dive into these shark-infested waters. But first, if you don't know what Island War is, I feel really bad for you, because it's a really fun strategy game by the developers of Art of War Legions, and it has really cool, unique troops, which are completely different from Art of War. I actually reviewed Island War about 5 or 6 months ago when it was called World War IV, but the game has changed a runs in a straight line, and explodes upon collision with enemy units, dealing a...
Okay, so...
Any further, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like this video if you want to see more like it. First, we have the bomber, who runs in a straight line and explodes upon collision with enemy units, dealing a huge amount of damage. And that's all he does. He just runs at the enemy and explodes. He kills himself. He commits suicide. He's like a Goblikazi in Art of War Legions. And in my opinion, he takes up space. Next in the F tier...
Okay, so... I disagree. Bomber's actually pretty good. Mainly because it targets buildings, and it does have okay health. Yes, it explodes on contact, but that's kind of the point. Incredibly high damage for a suiciding troop. It basically has enough damage to be 1/5 of the, to do one-shot most buildings, and do 1/5, and I think it does like 1/5 if it's under-leveled by a few levels. It does around 1/5 of the enemy's town hall. So, for example, when you're just rushing, here, I guess I just realized, I can just show you. So let's find the base where it applies. Here. So, I have 2 bombs in my second boat, so I'm just going to drop the second boat here, and the rest here. So, I really don't want the guys... I don't want my guys getting, like, stuck on the troops and accidentally losing. See, they're all dead over there already. But because the bombers rushed the buildings, I was able to take down the building. So the bombers are quite helpful. And they are okay. They're not the best, but they're okay. Hopefully it's not too annoying that the screen keeps turning sideways. It's gonna go from side to top right. So I'd give bombers maybe a B. Oh, sound.
Muscles to wreak havoc. Unfortunately, he's a... Next in the F tier, we have the swordsman. This fearless warrior relies on his bulging muscles to wreak havoc. Unfortunately, he's a scrawny boy. He has low damage and low hit points. Speaking of low damage and hit points, we have the spearman in the E.
Okay, so how's the sound? I'm gonna leave the sound around 2. So I agree. Swordman definitely an F. He put spearman here in E. So I'd say. Also, I wonder if this is a different tier list, because I saw. This definitely isn't the tier list I saw before, so this is a different tier list. But I'd say the other guy put Spearman in F, or maybe it was this guy before, but Spearmen were in F. I wouldn't put them in F, I'd put them in maybe D or C. Because maybe D. They have knockback, and that's an interesting thing, especially for such an early game troop, a common guy. For the knockback, it's quite good.
Also have low damage and hit points, but they have more than the swordsman. Dwarf warriors are brave warriors that are quick and deal a lot of damage, making them ideal assault troops, and that assaults my brain.
I'd give them like a C-ish,
I don't even know if I read it correctly. I'll tell you what, they have really good hit points, I think, but they're pretty slow. I would rather use other troops. Next, we have the fire mage, who shoots...
Actually, I think they have like the highest DPS. Let's go check that. Alright, you can't swipe. I'm pretty sure they have the highest DPS. I don't know what he's talking about. Hit speed 0.5, so that's 600 per second. Swordsmen only have 100 per second. Or no, is that... Does that mean he attacks 0.5 times per second? Oh, that's probably it. Okay, so it's 150 then. So swordsmen only have 100. Who are the other melee guys? Spearmen have 100. Berserkers have lots more. Of course, Berserker's only one guy. The Mace Warriors have much higher damage. They're compared to the Halberds. It seems like they have the highest DPS of most of the melee guys.
Contact and ignites all nearby enemy units. I think there's a typo in there. It's decent. I mean, if you have it, I would use it. But of course, I would rather use something like the Airbender if I want to use a...
From Fire Mage, I'd give him a... yeah, maybe a C or a D. They're not amazing. They're okay for, like... They're okay for AoE. But, yeah, it's still not amazing.
Ranged unit. Next in the D tier, we have the Arctic Wolves.
Okay, I disagree with that. I say Arctic Wolves are, like, A. Maybe B. They could use a bit of a health boost. Their health is very low. They die quickly. But their ability to target the ranged guys makes them, like, invaluable. So I'd give them an A or a B.
They're a fast creature with high damage and powerful attack that...
Hang on. I was talking slow. I'm putting him in 1.5 times speed.
Good against group of low health troops. Again, I think there's also a typo in this description. I think Arctic Wolves are great when you're first starting out. You can use them to distract. You can use them to decimate enemies. You can attack the hulking hurler with them. But later on in the game, when everyone has like frost archers and such, they're kind of meh. Next in the D tier, we have the heal wizard. His strong faith can heal.
It's true, but again, they are... excuse me. They are still good at getting rid of, like, ranged troops. They can go up and they can rush a Wind Mage, or whatever it's called. They are quite good, though. Heal Wizards, I'd give a C.
Friendly troops. And listen, I know he's an epic troop and he's in the D tier, but I would rather use nuns. They have more range, and they stay out of damage. In the C tier, we're starting off with archers.
That is a good point, yeah. Archers, I'd give, like, a D or an E. Archers aren't very good.
Archers are high damage ranged units that should be protected by other stronger units. What makes archers kind of special is their hit speed. These are DPS ranged units that can get you a lot of attack damage fast. Next, we have the Snowman, who launches snowballs at a target area, dealing damage to enemies and slowing them down. The Snowman has a skill called Ice Detonation that everyone seems to like. The Snowman summons a detonation to target area, dealing damage to enemies and slowing them down. So this is not a bad skill, and I hear that you can actually get a boost if you use the Snowman during certain weather conditions. Next, we have Shadow.
Okay, I don't know what he means by here you can get a boost. You can literally click the weather conditions, which I'll show you how to do after. But I would definitely give Snowman an A or an S. Snowman is one of the best guys. Shadow Assassin, again, I'd give an A. This guy clearly doesn't... I mean, not clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, he's just... I wouldn't say this tier list is the best. Snowman and Shadow Assassin, I'd both give at least an A.
Assassins. Those deathful assassins would flash two enemies back directly. That's what it says. So Shadow Assassins are kind of like Arctic Wolves. They're fast and they'll attack quickly. However, I'm ranking them higher because they can go over walls, they can go over obstacles, and they can get on higher platforms. They're very useful. The Nun's normal attack heals...
Okay. That's the whole point of why they're an A unit. They can literally teleport, and they teleport behind walls, up structures, and immediately at the archers. They are one of the best guys. I think I'd talked about the top 10 guys at some point. They are definitely A tier.
Single friendly force. I think that nuns are the best healers in the game because they stand out of danger and can heal friendly units within a very long range. The brawler is a slow but sturdy...
Okay, I'd give none more of an A or a B. Maybe like B and a half. I don't know.
Fighter that provides a shield buff protecting allies with low health. I think brawlers need a health boost. They need a little more health. Their hit points need to be higher. And then I think these would be really good multi-load tank.
Let's go look at the brawler's health. Okay, turning down the volume so I can speak. Brawlers have 1200 health. Comparing it, 550 health. So compared to these guys, yeah, they have very little health. Berserkers... If you look at the times 9, 28... And what level was that? 4? So 28, and this is 46,000, not 2,800. So yeah, brawlers are definitely lacking on health. Although when you compare it to the other... So when you compare it to Mace Warriors or the Berserker, it's low health. When you compare it to some of the other grouped guys, the Halberd, the Dwarf Warrior, the Shadow Assassin, their health's higher. The Swordman, the Spearman. So I'd give brawlers a... I'd give brawlers a B.
The game where their withstand shield skill will be really useful. Next we have the Berserker. During the battle rage, the Berserker
I'd also give a B.
Can act irrational and fearless. When his health drops below 50%, he becomes extremely strong. When the Berserker's health goes below 50%, its attack will increase by 150%, and that stays the same no matter how much you level up the troop. Next, we have the Crossbowmen in the C tier. Crossbowmen have much higher power than normal archers, and just like their description says, that is true. These are like archers on and steroids, I guess. To make them really bad, wouldn't it? And
okay, I haven't had much experience with the crossbowmen, so I can't really, like, rank them. Personally, I'd give them a D or a C. I don't know if it's better archers or crossbowmen, but I really don't have much experience with them. I don't have high level ones. I'll probably have some more once I do the 10 million opening, which is coming soon.
A really good skill that shoots 5 arrows, but their skill is all they have, and I still like archers because they're much easier to get. The last troop in the C tier is the hunting gunner. The hunting gunner lives on his powerful.
Again, not much experience. I'd give it a C or a D, so I guess I can't fault him.
Shotgun and his great shooting skill. So he's pretty tough and he can cause a lot of damage. His Deadeye shot skill is pretty cool. You can use it to take out single load tanks. In the B tier, we have the Halberdier. A two-handed weapon is a risk to wield but made up for in matchless damage output. I'm not going to reread that. These guys are tough and they're easy to get. Everyone likes to use them at first. I'm ranking them in the B tier, but I would probably switch them out. However, they're really good early on, and I want to make that perfectly clear. Next,
I have no idea what he's on about with the Halberdiers. Let's go look. So comparing the Halberdiers to the swordsmen. So 100 damage per second. These guys have 150, but they swing at 0.8. So we're cutting out 20. So we're cutting out 25, so it's 125. So they do more damage than the swordsmen. Brawlers do 150 per second. These guys do 100 per second, so they're better than the spearmen, not as good as brawlers. They do worse than dwarf warriors as well. Their range is 15. So they have slightly higher range, but repel the enemy. I don't think these guys repel. Yeah, these guys don't repel the enemy. So the spearman's knockback ability makes them worth it. The halberdier is like a stronger spearman, but when you take away the knockback, it's not worth it anymore.
next in the B tier, we have the Hulking Hurler. Siege troop that can deal lasting damage to the target area. This guy is tough and he can deal a lot of area damage, plus lasting damage. In my opinion, the Hulking Hurler is one of the best troops on defense. It can wipe out hordes of enemy troops. Make sure to keep it away from the edges so no one targets it. The Templar is a
I do agree with you on that. Hulking Hurler is quite good at. Mine aren't high level, so I kind of like have a unfair hate for them, or an unfair unlike for them. I'm not sure how old this is either. But because it's still called Hulking Hurler, not Lapidating Giant. But yeah, I'd say they're okay. Once I get higher level ones, I'll probably like them more. Templar B, yeah, that's probably also fine. I guess I'm pausing it.
Unit that transforms into a beam of light and slashes nearby enemies. Now, this guy has great damage and a great skill. His skill transforms him into light, and he basically becomes invisible and immune to damage. On top of that, he also deals a lot of damage with his skill. Next, we have the Mace Warrior. The Mace Warrior's attack will increase the damage taken by the enemy. These guys are quick and can cause a lot of damage.
Mace Warriors are probably like I think they're like the strongest melee guy. I think. So I'd give them more of an A or S.
If you fill up an entire raft with Mace Warriors, you can decimate armies. In the A tier, we have the Spear Thrower that shoots powerful spears.
I'd give Spear Thrower an S. So far, it just seems like he's underrating things. But I'd give Spear Thrower an S. He's got, like, good damage that increases over time, and it's an AoE of sort.
That pierces through all enemies and barriers, dealing damage to them. The Spear Thrower is basically like a Peltus from Art of...
That's the other thing. His spear sometimes will unintentionally damage walls, and because none of the guys actively like target breaking through walls, that's so important. Because he'll be shooting a normal guy, and he'll go through a wall, and then that breaks the wall. So it is so, because they don't target walls, it makes him better than he would normally be. Otherwise, maybe an A, yeah.
And it can get you a lot of damage quickly. Each time it throws its spear, its attack will increase by a percentage, so you can wreak havoc with these guys, and I personally like to pair them up with Frost Archers from range. Next, in the A tier, we have the Giant. The Giant is a sturdy unit that has a powerful area...
Giant has the highest health. It is so important tanking. He is an easy S+. Giant is incredibly important. I didn't know this guy has an E. I think tier lists don't normally have E's. But as I said, Giant's got so much health, he's so important, easy S+.
Control attack. The Giant is the heaviest single load tank in the game. It has high hit points, high attack, and a heavy bash skill that will repel enemies and deal damage. Use these guys to protect your other units. The first troop in the S tier is the Frost Archer. The arrows they shoot...
Yeah, again, easy. Yeah, that's an easy S. Frost Archer is really good.
Reduce the enemy's attack and movement speed, and 3 arrows will freeze the target. Frost Archers are the current meta right now. If your rafts are full of Frost Archers, you're going to win a lot of matches. And be careful of these guys on defense. They'll just keep freezing you over and over and over again, and get you with high damage. Next, we have the air...
The strategy to fight Frost Archers is Arctic Wolves and Shadow Assassins. And yes, for whatever he's going to say, Airbender is one of the best cards in the game. Again, I'd give that one an S+. It's probably the second or third best card. Giant being the first, Frost Archer... Giant maybe being the second, Frost Archer being the first. Airbender's probably around third, because that's another thing. The Airbender has the ability to stop Frost Archers, so he's another really good counter to them.
Airbender. The Airbender uses the power of the wind to attack the enemy. That summons a gust of wind to attack the enemy in a rectangular area ahead and temporarily prevents ranged enemies from attacking. The Airbender can stop enemies from attacking. The Airbender can slow them down. The Airbender can cause a lot of damage. What can't the Airbender do? The last troop is...
Yeah, and that's really good. The Airbender being able to stun the ranged troops, especially Frost Archers and Spear Throwers, it's so important.
The Frost Titan. This massive creature would deal huge damage to the enemies nearby and freeze them at the same time, and the description is in past tense. The reason why I rank him higher than the Giant is because of his skill. The Frost Titan will decrease movement speed and attack speed of nearby enemies, and every 2 attacks from the Titan will freeze enemies. So he's a really good tank that will just keep on freezing enemies. He pairs up great with Giants, but he just doesn't have as much hit points, so what stands out here is the skill. One thing to keep in mind as we...
Okay, so that's I guess where the tier list ends. I'd say for that guy... maybe between S and A. I'm gonna look for the other tier list video, because I know there was another one, but... he's not as good. Giant has so much more health. He does have the freezing ability, but it's less helpful because he's got so many less hit points. So I'm gonna look for the other tier list video. Okay, here's another video. This is the one I meant to do. So we're gonna go over this one as well. I think there's just still a couple of mistakes in this one. So we're gonna go over this one, then we're gonna get into the game. This one I also have it in 2x speed now, just so it goes through even faster.
Every troop in Island War on a tier list, and things got personal. I talked about how I feel about each one of them. So let's get to it. Before we begin, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel for more Island War content. Let's start off with Arctic Wolves. Arctic Wolves are really fast, as you see here. They have 80 speed, and their speed never changes as you upgrade them. At level 8, they can deal 1,000 damage, and I do see them being somewhat useful. However, they're not the meta. I'm going to stick them between B and C for right now. Next, we have the Giant.
With that, I do agree. He's moved them up. I'd say a B.
Look at these hit points at level 9. Also, look at this damage, 18,888. The Giant has the most hit points in the game. It's a heavy single load tank. I'm sticking it in the S tier. You need these bad boys to lead the way for your army. It's best to put them in the front of your boats so that they can take damage and protect your troops behind them. Fire mages aren't...
I agree. Giants are an easy S+. And again, if you're wondering, he's in 2x speed. So sorry if you can't understand it. Feel free to slow down my video, but I want to spend a little time on their video.
Well, that bad at level 7. They do start to deal over 1,000 damage, but they have relatively low health, and I would much rather have Airbenders. I'm sticking them in the C tier. The Berserker can start...
yeah.
dealing heavy damage at level 3. Look at this, 1,200 damage. Plus it has this rage skill which will increase its damage, and their HP ain't half that bad. I'm sticking Berserkers right up the B. I don't think they're in line with Templars, but at low levels,
I agree.
they're really good. Now we have the Halberdier, and I really don't care about them. I'm just going to stick them in the D tier. Mace Warriors are decent D.
Yeah, I think D is okay for them. They're eh. I'd say E, and then... because they're definitely worse than the Spearmen. I'd say, like, E for Halberdiers.
PS troops, look at this. They have 1.0 speed, 2,592 damage at level 9. I think they're really good on defense. I'm going to stick them between A and B. I would rather have a bunch of tanks and like Frost Archers behind them than have
That's pretty much exactly what I said.
Mace Warriors. Dwarf Warriors and Halberdiers. They're like the same thing to me. Just stay in the D tier where you belong. If you have these bad boys,
Dwarf Warriors have the highest damage per second. I'd give them more of a C.
they work really well when you're starting out, but you're going to want to use them for other troops. The Spear Thrower is like a Peltis from Art of War Legions, but it's blue and has like a dog head. Each time they throw a spear, they will increase the percentage of attack. They are really good. I don't really like to use them. I'm going to stick them in the B tier. I think Spear...
I'd give them an like in between A and S. It's Spear Throwers are probably one of the best cards because because of their accidental tendency to break through a wall, which because nothing targets walls, nothing really targets walls unless they have no other ways through. So if there's a way around, they go all the way around. So their ability to accidentally tear down a wall is really helpful, especially against bases where the walls go all the way around except for a gap like at the back where you don't want to be. If you send them in the front, these guys will accidentally tear down the walls, and that's really helpful. So these guys, I'd give them an S.
Throwers work really well before you have a bunch of Frost Archers, but then I would start replacing them for Frost Archers. Speaking of Frost Archers, I think these are the best attacking troops in the...
Yeah, again, I agree. Frost Archers are an easy S. They are the best attacking troop, plus the attack, plus the, AoE. Only problem is, they don't accidentally tear down the walls, so there is no way for your melee guys and your giants to then get in. So it's a bit of a problem.
At level 9, they deal 1,875 damage. They're pretty fast. They have decent hit points for a ranged troop. Plus, they have this chill skill that shoots arrows and decreases the movement speed of enemy troops. Frost Archers are the meta. If you have a lot of tanks and a lot of Frost Archers, you're going to win a lot of matches. Now we have the Lapidating Giant, which used to be called the Hulking Hurler. I think they work wonder on defense. They cause a lot of AoE damage. They're kind of like a better version of
Yeah, B's fine.
From Art of War Legions. And on offense, like 1 or 2 work really well. However, they are single load troops and they're not tanks, so I really wouldn't go over that. The Templar is a low-key hero. He can wipe out hordes of enemy troops with his skill, but I'm going to stick him between S and A.
I have no, opinion of the Templar. I don't have a high enough level one to really know, but I think between S and A probably is fair.
He's on par with Frost Archers, and the meta is a bunch of tanks with Frost Archers, and it doesn't really include you Templar. I'm sorry. Next we have the Nun, and the Nuns are really confusing to rank because Xandis, the leader of TUP, says that they work really well at level 9, and they're not so great at level 8 and below, so I'm just going to stick them between B and C, I guess. If you're using them, stick them in the back. Make sure they don't get hit. Next we have the Shadow Assassin.
And Nuns, I'd say, yeah, probably B to C. I'd say, Nuns B, Heal Wizard C.
I'm going to stick them in the A tier. Assassins can get Frost Archers and other troops up on platforms. Plus, they can jump over enemy lines.
Yeah, I'd say between A and S.
At level 9, they can deal over 1,000 damage, and I think that's really, really shine. I often use these Assassin Boys on 2 different boats so I can attack with 2 different Frost Archers from 2 different angles. Now we have the Airbender, and I'm going to stick the Airbender between S and A. The Airbender has...
Yeah, I agree. Between S and A is fair.
Really good skill that can disable range units from attacking, and it can deal a ton of damage from level 4 and above. I mean, look at this. At level 9, it has 45,000 health points and over 3,000 damage. I am not the biggest fan of crossbowmen. I'm going to stick them in the C tier. They do have a
I'd give them D, but again, I don't have high enough level ones to really know.
that will shoot multiple arrows, but I'm not scared of them. If I see them on your base, I'm going to attack you. At level 5, the Frost Titans can start dealing over 1,000 damage, and they really start to shine. I'm sticking them in the S tier. They don't have as much...
Yeah, I'd give them A. Again, I really don't know, though. If they are that good, maybe S.
HP as giants, but they can deal a lot of damage, and they have this really good skill that basically freezes enemies just like frost archers. Swordsmen are basic infantry troops. I'm going to stick them in the F tier. If you have them,
Yeah, swordsmen are probably one of the only guys who deserve an F.
fuse them. Archers are also in the F tier. I mean, they're not terrible, but I would rather fuse them. Spearmen.
Yeah, archers, frost archers, just straight up better. Give them an F.
Swordsmen, except I think they have more damage. F tier.
Nope, they have knockback too. And you can actually see spearmen's weapons can penetrate and repel the enemy. They have knockback. I'd give them like D, and again halberd E.
Matter, get out of here. Bombers take up space. They are single-load troops that just explode. They might not even take out a building or the troops you're trying to go after. I don't want to see them. I'm going to.
I already talked about why bombers are good. It's incredibly high damage. Bombers have the highest damage in the game. They will one-shot everything. I'm not sure what the second highest damage in the game, but bombers have they target buildings, yes, but they have the highest damage in the game. So again, they will just target buildings. You could definitely win with ships just full of bombers, because they would be able to tank long enough to just rush through and destroy everything. With enough, that could be the strat.
If you have them on your island, I'm not scared of them, and I'm going to attack them. But I have seen them work on defense. However, I would never, ever, ever use them on offense. I would much rather use level 9 nuts. A lot of people love the snowman and use him early on. I'm sticking him in the C tier. He's basically an ice mage from Art of War Legions.
I'd give him more of an A. Like I said, Snowman's really good because of the slowing. It's crazy OP.
It's a really good skill that will damage the enemy and reduce their movement speed. Brawlers recently got a new skill in the game called Withstand. It's the same thing as Art of War Legions. It will deploy a shield after it attacks the enemy 4 times. However, I'm going to stick them between B and C. I do think nuns would be in the S tier at level 9. I just want to mention that before I go any further. But brawlers are between.
Yeah, I'd give him A. I don't know, maybe B. Probably. You know what? I agree with between B and C. I agree with that.
And C, there might be a use for them at the end of fights where they can protect your giants and your frost archers behind them. However, their health is just too low. It's 7,200 at level 9. Last but not least, we have the hunting gunner, and I'm going to stick the hunting gunner in the C tier. I think the hunting gunner does have.
Again, not informed enough to know. I don't have a high enough level 1. I'd give it a C or a D based on my current knowledge.
But I have not seen that just yet. It might be a really good counter to giants and frost titans, but for now, I'm just not seeing it. It's in the C tier. That does it for all the troops in Island War.
Okay. Those are the two ratings. Feel free to go check that guy out. So yeah, that's my opinion on the cards. And let's go play some games. Or get stuck loading. Okay, let's play some games. Can I beat this guy? He's 15,000. Well, probably. This guy doesn't know how to make mountains. Maybe this was a mistake. Where's his wing mage? There it is. Airbender. Okay, I need them to kill those, Wow, how did I... He had no, like, mountains or anything. He must have just had really high-level things. That can be, I just realized another use for bombers. You can use them to distract. Because they'll rush in, they might get all the melee guys to, like, turn around in attempts to follow them. Won't always be useful, but it could be. Should tell you what I was trying to do in Hollow Knight yesterday while I'm playing. Story time. So I was playing Hollow Knight, and I was trying to fight the Watcher Knights. But... you know, I've already beat the Watcher Knights. Why am I trying to fight them again? Well, I'm doing a second account where I'm trying to beat them, where I'm trying to, like, you know, speedrun the game. So, you know, naturally I get to the Watcher Knights and I spend 3 hours fighting them, because that's what you're supposed to do in a speedrun, right? Fight the Watcher Knights for 3 hours. And the reason is because the first time I fought them I had 7 or 8 masks. So, there's so many things. I don't think I used any of the nail arts. I may have had some, but I didn't use any. So the first time I fought them, I had like 7 or 8 masks, 1 extra vessel fragment, I think. Or vessel... soul vessel? So I had like 2 or 3 extra masks, an extra soul vessel, I think. And then, what else do I have? I had the Shade Cloak, the Mantis, or not the Shade Cloak, the Mothwing Cloak. Mothwind? I had the Mothwing Cloak, which is the double jump ability. That's my Play Clash Royale alarm. Whatever the dash one is, the the dash you get after fighting Hornet. So I had the dash ability, the double jump ability, and the claw, Mantis Claw, which is jump off walls. And I think I had Desolate Dive as well. And of course, Vengeful Spirit. So hopefully these guys will teleport up here. No. They aren't the smartest of Shadow Assassins, and they can only teleport once. If they could teleport multiple times, like after they fought an enemy, I would give them an S. Then they'd be like the best troop in the game, because they just target like the range guys and can teleport more than once. So yeah, basically now I was fighting the Watcher Knights with still Mantis Claw, Dash, and Monarch Wings, but I only had 5 health instead of 7 or 8. And instead of maybe the 5 or 6 charm notches I had before, I had 3. I didn't have any extra charm notches, and I only had a couple of charms. I had 1 charm that costs 4 slots, meaning I can only equip it if I'm going to overcharm, and then I take double damage. That's what overcharming does. I had Fury of the Fallen, which means when I'm on one heart, 1 mask, which is the health, I do more damage, but I don't really want to be on 1 health. Or I had Soul Catcher, which gives me more soul when I hit an enemy. And then I can... There go the bombers. See how helpful that is? Assuming he actually blows up that wall. Okay. Whoa, they've got a lot of archers. I might not win this one. If they can kill that giant and start shooting the archers, I might be able to. So, I had less health, very few charms, so most of the time I just had Soul Catcher on, and then I would just be Vengeful Spiriting them, which is like the spell that does high damage. And I only had Nail. I had the level 1 Nail. So the way they count Nail is like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like coding talk. You start in 0, and then you go up, and then you go up. So that means there's 5 different Nail levels. Base Nail does 5 damage, and then every level adds 4. So I was only doing 9 damage per hit. And I figured, I could go, like, fight Nosk and something, or try and upgrade my Nail. But I figured, nah, I'm just gonna try and fight this out anyway, because I'm gonna have to fight them with a weaker Nail at some point. And at some point with less health, less charms, and less soul capacity. And technically, I would have the addition of being able to have Shade Cloak, which allows me to dash through them, which in that fight is quite the added bonus. It's quite the bonus. So when I'm fighting them with less health and a weaker Nail, I will be able to Shade Cloak through them. But at the same time, who knows, maybe one day I'm going to want to try and beat them without using Shade Cloak. And with less health and soul and stuff. So, it's practice. So I spent like 3 or 4 hours grinding them yesterday, and I couldn't win, but that's normal, that makes sense. That Berserker just activated the bomb, and then left, and then walked back into the bomb. So, as I was saying... what was I saying? So, I didn't really expect to beat them, because I figured I would need practice, and then you have to, like, go to sleep. What I've had happen quite a bit is I train on a boss for, like, multiple hours across multiple days, then I go to sleep, and I beat them the second time I fight them the next day. Because you remember how the fight happens in your head, what to do with the moves, and then you learn overnight. and then just overnight you remember, you get even better on how to do it, and then the next day you'll be able to beat it. So I figure I'll be able to go back later, or soon, and do it. So hope you enjoyed. Remember, if you like my content, feel free to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.